Today, I wanted to talk about education and the idea of learning. I will never read every book. I will never listen to every song. I won't step foot in every city, but I will live 1,000,000 lives. Like right now, I'm learning the piano. Geo's theme, that's the first part of it. I'm still working on it. But so this right now, I'm learning on my own. And I'm enjoying it so much. I'm isolated, but I'm being creative at the same time. And it's this perfect balance of being alone and being stuck in my own mind, but in a productive way. And I feel like we've been trained since we were little. How long were we in school growing up? 12 years minimum. And then after that, maybe 16 years of your life, you're in school and you're learning with people. And I feel like we've been nurtured to have this idea that you have to learn with people. Like you're not allowed to learn alone. Like, yes, you can do homework, you can read a book, but in reality, you have to take those thoughts and articulate them to someone who's smarter, your teacher, that class, not class clown. Class clowns are usually the smartest, by the way, but the class try hard. 4.0 GPA in high school, by the way, guys. When I'm dead, put that on my grave. 4.8 GPA in high school, because that's all that matters. Don't ask about the SAT score though. That's another story. I didn't try. I swear. Okay, I'm way smarter than Tess. Like there was no need for me to try on that to articulate my knowledge. I have meta glasses. Look at that, makes me smart. I'm doing this alone, and I've never been able to think so freely and actually learn something my own way. Like I'm not even doing the whole music sheets. Like I'm literally just copying stuff down, doing the notes my own way. It might look a little schizo, but I think that's how it's supposed to be. And it's not like when you go to college, you're going to school optionally. It's not required by the government. After high school, you're on your own. You don't have to continue your education, your search for knowledge. But you have this sense of accountability that you need to do it because financially someone or yourself is paying for this and you have to be rewarded with that piece of paper. When I graduated college and I walked the stage, I was like, what was the point of this? I don't feel any smarter. College wasn't hard for me. Granted, it was hard from a time thing because I was working 2 jobs and had a full class load. That made it hard, but the thinking wasn't hard at all. And because you really when you think about school, you're really just validating someone else's opinion, whether that be the system itself or the teacher or a classmate. You're never really thinking for yourself because you're thinking for a reward that doesn't really exist, that piece of paper, that grade. But right now, I'm alone when I'm doing this piano. It's so satisfying because there's nothing to it beyond creation and just articulating myself. Talking in these videos, I enjoy so much because my mind flows so differently. These words come out and usually when I'm by myself, I can't articulate like this, but as soon as I press record, I become a genius or something. And I think that's what we lost. People think you can't just learn on your own. I know a guy he's an engineer, but he didn't get an engineering degree. He just passed all the engineering tests. He bought a kit, brought the textbook, and learned on his own. And I think that's so much more impressive than in college because it's pure dedication. There's no obligation financially or to someone else or anything except yourself. And I think that's what we need more of. We need more learning. And I think you have to realize everyone is a researcher in their own way. When you're driving down the street and you notice something about that tree, that's research, that's knowledge, that's learning something. When you're watering your plants and you're like, okay, if I water this one a little more, if I throw my banana peel on this one, it helps it grow. But if I throw banana peel on that one, it hasn't helped it grow. That is research, that is knowledge. Every little thing, every little tick you notice, that is knowledge in its own sense. And I think people forget that knowledge is in everything you do. And it's not just validated through a book, through a person, through a grade, through a system. You think the cavemen, when they created fire, they, started writing education on it and this is how you start it, this is how you do it. No, they lit the fire. And then they lit it again. And they did it again and again and again. And then everyone knew how to make fire. Okay? And you didn't need a certification to know that you knew how to make fire. You just did it. And you just need to do it. You just need to go do stuff. Going to the beach and noticing how the tide moves, the way the sets are breaking, the way the water is moving up and back, that is knowledge, that is research. And I think, we prioritize the scientist who is building rockets and having them frickin' land and putting glass cameras in glasses. We value that so much that we forgot about the little knowledge in life, the being alone, teaching yourself something, teaching you about yourself. That is knowledge. And we've neglected that. We neglect the idea of being human and the idea of learning. You do not need other people to learn, okay? That classroom was a limitation, if anything. Like, think about how much kids are drugged up nowadays. Everyone has ADHD, everyone needs Adderall, Ozempic, whatever. Okay, imagine if you were taught like in a forest, if you were just walking around and like you weren't stuck in a desk. Can we think about how uncivilized being stuck in a desk is all day as a child, stuck in there and expected to learn? Like, if anything, those are like those people who had like ADHD, those are like raw human emotions. Like, those are the realest people there were, because you weren't meant to learn that way. You're meant to learn on your own. Everyone thinks differently. I'm learning piano this way. I don't think anyone else will probably learn. Well, I'm sure there are other people, but like, I wouldn't be able to teach someone because this is how I do it, and I think it's unique to me. Obviously I'm using YouTube, but I'm mixing it with my own ideas of how it makes sense to me. And we think that everything has to make sense to everyone. No, it doesn't. 2 + 2 = 4, yes. But how you get to that conclusion come in so many different ways. We've, as a society, been stuck in idolizing the idea of math. And that's why I hate math, because math is always right. There's always a concrete answer. And that's why I kind of like the arts, because there is no correct answer. What does that painting mean? I don't know. It can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, and that's the beauty. We've gotten so caught up in the science of one answer that we forget that we can have our own. And I could keep rambling. I could go on and on about this, but I'm gonna leave it to you guys, because I feel like I don't listen to podcasts anymore, because I was making one, but then I stopped listening. I wasn't listening to other ones, and I'm like, I feel like a hypocrite. Even with these YouTube videos, I don't watch as many YouTube essays as I used to. But we've got so caught up in collecting other people, of curating ourselves with other people's ideas, we forgot how to curate our own. So go out there and think for yourself. My videos shouldn't educate you. They should spark your adventure for education, because people say they don't like to read, they don't like to do math. They don't like to learn, they never liked school. You've always liked something, and you've always have hobbies. And the thing about the hobbies is you learn and you research and you try to get better at them. That is learning. So go learn about something you love. Have a great day, you guys. Shoot. Wait, shoot. That didn't sound good. I'll cut that.